In this video, you will learn about the dynamic email content options you can configure during the setup step of the SugarMarket email builder. While dynamic email content is a helpful tool to use in the body of an email, such as customizing images, text box, and more, it can also be used during the setup step in the email builder to customize elements outside of the email body, such as the subject line, the from name, and more. To begin using dynamic email content, we'll need to create a new email campaign through the email builder by going to the navigation bar, selecting Quick Create, and then Email. We'll start by setting up the following elements of our email campaign as usual: the campaign type, the internal campaign name, and selecting a folder. For more information on configuring these elements, feel free to check out the Email Builder course on SugarU. Once the internal campaign information is filled out, we'll move on to the setup for some of the customer-facing parts of your email, including the email subject, the from name, the from address, and the reply to address. Each of these elements, with the exception of the domain part of the from and reply to addresses, can become dynamic elements, allowing you to customize the content depending on the segments your recipients fall into. To do so, simply click on the settings gear in the far right of the item that you wish to make dynamic. Remember, you can make all of these dynamic or even just some of the elements dynamic, whatever works best for your scenario. For this example, we'll focus on making the subject line dynamic by clicking on the settings gear icon. A window will appear to guide you through setting up your dynamic subject. First, we will focus on the bottom of the window, which has the field labeled Default Email Subject. The default email subject is where you will put the email subject you would like everyone not in one of your segments to see. For example, we're using this email to advertise our fresh fruit sale. If you're using two segments from this dynamic content configuration, and one of your segments targets recipients in Georgia who will receive a subject line specific to fresh peaches, while the other targets recipients in Hawaii will receive a subject line specific to fresh pineapple. Recipients located in California would receive this default subject line. If you'd like to include merge tags in your subject line, click on the tag icon on the far right of the field. Next, you'll select your segments to set up the dynamic elements. Just a reminder that we created the segments for this example in part 1 of this video series. The first video discusses how to create segments for dynamic email content, including creating them directly in the email builder during the setup step using the Create Segment button shown in this window. So if you skipped that video or need a refresher, please go back and watch part 1. Okay, here we can select Use Existing Segment and select the desired segments from our drop-down menu. After selecting the segment, you will then enter the dynamic subject line for this segment, keeping in mind that only recipients on your email list that fall within this particular segment will see this subject line. Once complete, click Save. Repeat this process to add as many dynamic subject lines for different segments as you'd like. Once you're done adding all of your dynamic subject lines and segments, click Save. The email subject field will now show a message saying Dynamic Email Subject Configured. Feel free to repeat the same steps if you'd like to dynamically configure your from name, from address, or reply to address. Otherwise, proceed through your email setup as normal. To learn about the dynamic elements that you can add into your email body, such as buttons, text, and images, tune in to the next video in this series.